Cleanup is underway tonight after a record 5.6 magnitude quake near Pawnee rattled, rumbled, and shook Oklahoma and 6 other states. This evening, Governor Mary Fallin declared a state of emergency in Pawnee County because of this morning's quake. Today's earthquake ties for the highest recorded in the Sooner State since November of 2011.
House was literally going like this. Back and forth.
The walls and the windows were shaking. The cabinets in the kitchen flew open and everything inside flew out. Joe Alley says this table fell on its side.
You could see everything moving good enough, something was going to come off.
Joe Alley and his son were sitting on this couch here, but this couch was back against this wall. The chimney was standing upright. You see where it's not anymore. He says as soon as he started feeling the house shaking, he covered his son, and that's when the chimney fell on top of them.
I was really scared and freaking out. I'm just glad that he came over the top of me and we're still here right now at this moment.
The bricks left a huge cut in the back of Joe's head and his back is sore, but Joe says he's doing just fine.
There was angels protecting us that this morning.
And now it's time to work. You can see here in these pictures the damage that earthquake left behind.
It pretty much demolished everything in there.
Just finished talking with the man who lives inside this house. Take a look at the roof. You see the stone up there? That's just a small example of the massive damage inside his home.
Well, the house just started shaking and things started crashing and banging.
Take a look. He showed us this damage inside his home. You can see the stone all over the floor. He even had some glasses break in his kitchen. He tells me insurance will not cover that damage.
We were kind of just shook up like everybody else.
Everyone we talked with felt the quake, and they're glad that they made it out safely.
Store manager tells me the damage they estimate is in the couple of thousands of dollars, and that includes the damaged ceiling tiles, merchandise, even some of those holiday weekend sales they had to turn away this morning. Employees had no option but to turn customers away while they cleaned up every single aisle. Canned goods.
Oh, we got a mess in this one, don't we?
Baking supplies, even the sign broke loose.
The whole building was swaying. I could see the signs up top moving back and forth, and then stuff just started caving off the shelves. Lori Bento was setting up registers when that preliminary 5.6 earthquake shook up Pawnee. You know, there was no thoughts. I mean, all I could do was just stand there and hold on to the counter.
Besides seeing and hearing merchandise fall off the shelves like the soda bottle here, the two employees here also saw and heard debris falling from the ceiling, like these ceiling tiles, this insulation, even some lettering that came off their wall.
I said, is this the end? Is Jesus coming back?
But first, our top story this morning. Tropical storm Hermine is barreling up the East Coast. It's bringing extremely dangerous storm surges, flash flooding, and high winds to millions of people, not to mention disrupting Labor Day holiday plans. This morning, the storm is 55 miles off Cape Lookout, North Carolina, moving northeast at about 21 miles per hour.
Tropical storm watches and warnings are posted from North Carolina all the way to Rhode Island. At least one tornado was reported in Hatteras, North Carolina. Here's a look at some of the damage the storm caused just hours ago. High winds toppling a tree in Carthage, North Carolina, about a 3-hour drive from the coast. Earlier, Hermine cut a path of damage through Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. Tens of thousands of people are without electricity, and emergency declarations are in effect in 6 states.
Overnight, Hermine swept through the Carolinas, causing heavy rain and wind to whip through Charleston. The storm left many homes severely damaged, including that of 90-year-old Jean Nelson. A tree crashed through her house.
We just were amazed. It was just the most awful thing you'd think would happen.
Further north, the town of Atlantic Beach, North Carolina, suffered heavy flooding. There was at least one major car accident due to the storm. Hermine made landfall in Florida early Friday as a Category 1 hurricane, the first to hit the state since 2005. It brought storm surges and flooded entire neighborhoods, including this one in Tampa, and caused more than 300,000 people to lose power. Large wind gusts snapped trees, one of which killed a homeless man after it fell on top of him. Later, the tropical storm tore through Skidway Island in Savannah, Georgia. A possible tornado caused major damage to a dozen homes in the area.
We had significant crashes going on around us, and looking out my front door, there was no clear path out of my house. I had lost the front of my house.
As Hermine moves back over the Atlantic Ocean, it could gain strength and possibly regain its status as a hurricane. More than a foot of rain could fall in the southeastern and mid-Atlantic states through the weekend. Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe.
What we are now operating under, and we have been informed, and we are having life-threatening storm surges are a strong possibility, which will go all the way up the Chesapeake and will cause major disruptions.
With Superstorm Sandy still fresh on their minds, many New Yorkers spent the day today stocking up on food and supplies.
Getting extra gasoline in a container gives Martin Feeney of Broad Channel peace of mind that he's ready as Hermine churns our way.
What can you do? Just have generators so you can back up your electric.
So it's definitely on your mind today.
Oh, everybody, yeah. No doubt about it.
Well, I am concerned because I'm across the street from the water.
Linda Stremo of Howard Beach shares the bad memory of where the water line was from Superstorm Sandy.
Yeah, I'd say up to here.
Sandy swamped her basement with flood water and submerged 2 cars. Here's one of them still rusty and wrecked where it once briefly disappeared. A lesson learned from that was to keep precious things up high.
Nothing is downstairs. It's just like storage.
Customers and managers at this Home Depot on Rockaway Boulevard say the storm preparations are making this place busier.
A lot of people taking water.
Richard Torres of South Ozone Park says what matters is keeping his family safe, hydrated, and fed.
I got charcoal, I got the grill, and we got plenty of food. If we have to barbecue, we got food. Tomorrow's definitely a no-go.
More students were sent home today from Manhattan Senior High for a mystery illness with stomach flu-like symptoms. The total is around 100.
And as of this morning, we've sent home 12 students, 1 teaching faculty member, and 1 paraeducator.
Even though the numbers of the students being sent home are alarming, Manhattan High School administrators are taking every precaution to ensure the illness doesn't spread.
In circumstances where we might feed them a saltine cracker and try and keep them at school, we're immediately sending them home.
The Kansas Department of Agriculture visited the school to check on the kitchen and found no issues.
As a matter of fact, they believe that if this is a virus, it was introduced from outside the building and is now inside the building.
As a precaution, the KDA advised the school to use bleach solution to wipe down everything from water fountains to restrooms.
The cleaning information that was provided to us addressed norovirus, but we don't know that it's norovirus. We just know that if it is, we want to get a head start, and so that's why the bleach solution was recommended, and that's what we're using till further notice.
Parents of ill students are encouraged to send the Riley County Health Department stool samples so they can confirm the cause of the mystery illness.
Tonight, the FBI has teamed up with Wilton Manors Police to investigate some serious threats made to the gay community, and those threats promising to be worse than the Pulse nightclub massacre.
Well, tonight, Victor, police know who they are looking for, and he is known in this community. We're here at the Pride Center in Wilton Manors, where there is set to be a mural unveiling. We're told there is additional security here because this guy is not in custody.
I think people are very concerned about this weekend coming up.
And no doubt many in Wilton Manors have a right to be worried after threats have surfaced online of a mass shooting set to happen this Labor Day weekend. One similar to the massacre at Pulse nightclub in Orlando, where a gunman killed 49 people.
They know he's quite capable of performing what he's threatening to do.
Nick Berry, owner of Rumors Bar and Grill, has a picture of the man allegedly behind the threats at his front door. Craig Jungworth, the same man he says is allegedly seen on tape vandalizing his bar back in May. He says Jungworth has become deranged and angry with many in the community.
Even though he's gay and attacking gays is clearly a hate crime, it's clearly, I think, a domestic terrorist threat.
Someone on Jungworth's profile using language we won't repeat, but saying, quote, "None of you deserve to live. If you losers thought the Pulse nightclub shooting was bad, wait till you see what I'm planning for Labor Day." Going on to say, quote, "I'm going to be killing," and then using a derogatory word for gay men.
It's something that I'm a little concerned about, especially when it's close to home.
We don't want another repeat of what happened at Pulse in Orlando.
As the community remains on edge, Wilton Manors police urging anyone who sees Jungworth to call them immediately.
Get ready, because chaos will erupt no matter who wins the election. That is the latest article from Mike Adams out of naturalnews.com. He is reporting that America will be a tinderbox, ready to explode no matter who wins. He writes here that what follows is an educated analysis of the political friction now escalating in America. They write, if Donald Trump wins, the radical extreme leftists go on a violent rampage that leads to the rest of us begging for martial law. He says after half a dozen cities burned with riots and looting, Trump invokes a national emergency, deploying National Guard troops across the most devastated urban areas. The radical left finds itself in a shooting war with the government. They're right. He continues, Adams continues, if Hillary Clinton wins, all the Trump supporters who've been violently assaulted, spat on, and physically attacked by the radical left unholster their concealed weapons and start shooting back. He writes that this quickly escalates into open warfare between lunatic leftist Hillary supporters and armed Trump Second Amendment people. He writes, people who basically figure they've got nothing left to lose anyway, so why not fight and save America? He continues that you've got 44% of U.S. households that now own guns. And not just one gun, but several different types of guns. He continues that people bought all these guns for a reason, and they sure didn't buy them just to turn them over to a corrupt criminal government.
President Rodrigo Duterte has declared a state of lawlessness in the Philippines after a bomb attack in his home city killed at least 14 people. Around 70 others were injured in Friday's blast at a night market in Davao. The Abu Saif militant group has said it was behind the explosion, which took place outside a hotel often frequented by Duterte. Earlier, the president, who was in Davao at the time of the attack but not near the market, visited victims in hospital. He said the decree does not amount to martial law, but will allow troops to be deployed in cities to back up police. Since taking office some 2 months ago, Duterte has launched a violent crackdown in the Philippines on drugs, and the president confirmed investigators are looking into other possible suspects for the blast, including drug traffickers.
At least 12 people have been killed and dozens wounded outside a court complex in northwestern Pakistan. Rescuers in the city of Mardan in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province say 2 bombs exploded. Lawyers, police officers and civilians are among the victims. According to witnesses, he says the attacker first threw a grenade, then tried to move forward. At this point, a police officer tried to stop him. A voice said, "God is great," and gunfire detonated the attacker's vest. Earlier in the day, 4 gunmen wearing suicide bomb vests attacked a Christian neighborhood in the Khyber tribal region. At least 2 people died. The Taliban-affiliated group Jamaat-ul-Ahrar claimed responsibility for both attacks and warned of the possibility of more being carried out.
Turkish tanks have entered the Syrian territory from a new front. Media reports from Turkey say the tanks crossed into northern Syria from the Turkish province of Kilish near the Turkish border village of Shupande. Over a week ago, Turkey said Ankara has a legal right to enter Syria to support what he called the moderate Syrian opposition in its battle against Daesh. The Syrian government has called the move a flagrant aggression, adding that Turkey goes beyond supporting Daesh and Jabhat al-Nusra's terrorists. Syria's Kurds have also said the deployments are meant to clamp down on Kurdish fighters battling Daesh in the region.
China and the United States have officially ratified the Paris Agreement on climate change, bringing the deal a major step closer to coming into force. The 2 countries whose leaders are attending the G20 summit in China handed UN Chief Ban Ki-moon the documents that represent a major stride forward for the global accord. China is responsible for around 25% of global carbon emissions, followed by the US with about 15%. The Paris deal will come into force 30 days after being ratified by at least 55 countries, which account for 55% of global greenhouse gas emissions. The pact calls for capping global warming at well below 2 degrees Celsius, compared with pre-industrial levels.
Heavy machinery maker Caterpillar is considering laying off around 2,000 workers at its plant in Belgium. A union representative says the US company has launched a consultation process that will probably result in the closure of the site in the suburbs of Charleroi. The news became public after union representatives left a meeting at the plant on Thursday morning. We were expecting something, he says, but not this bad. We were expecting more restructuring, but not another 2,000 unemployed. When we heard, it came as a terrible shock for our families and children, he says. I've just built a house, he says. I have to pay for it for the next 29 years.
You know, we've heard a lot about robots and how they're taking over human jobs, and they're starting a very uneasy transition into society where they're very normalized. First one that I want to mention, France. It's rolled out the world's first driverless bus. So if you're comfortable getting on a city bus without actually having a driver, you might want to visit this French town. These driverless minibuses, they're going to be taking passengers in the eastern part of the French city of Lyon, if I'm saying that correctly. I know you live there. At the weekend time, it's going to be a year-long experiment, weekends only, 2 electric vehicles. Get this, though, they're not going fast enough to kill anybody. They're only going to go 12 miles an hour.
A Catholic college has become the first university in the country to have a Hindu chaplain. Georgetown University already has a Jewish rabbi and a Muslim imam on staff as chaplains. The Washington Post reports the school has 300 Hindu students, so leaders felt they needed a Hindu chaplain as well. A Catholic chaplain told the Post that Georgetown wants all of its students to experience spiritual growth in college.
The Bishop of Grantham's announced he's gay, reportedly because a Sunday newspaper was about to expose him. Did he break any rules? No. Church guidelines allow gay people to be priests and bishops, but you have to remain celibate. And the Archbishop of Canterbury said he knew Nicholas Chamberlain was gay when he made him a bishop.
It is my personal life. My sexuality is part of who I am. I've never sought to make it a secret, and my focus and priority has been on my ministry, on serving God, on serving God's people, and I do that, as I always have done, as a gay man.